All right, it's September, which means we can say technically hockey starts this month. Boy, it's been a long summer. All right, so Panthers development camp starts on the 10th. So what I've had the idea to do here is I'm going to do a player-by-player video review, one player at a time. Not sure how many I'll get to, 10, 20, something like that. Just want to go over what my opinion is on how I think each player can improve. Doesn't mean that I'm calling them out for being bad. Just means that everybody, one way or another, can find a way to get better. And the first player I'm going to start with is Jonathan Huberdeau. Before we get started, make sure you hit that like button, all right? Because that's even more important than the subscription button. That like button tells the algorithm you guys like the video, it shows it to more people, I get more views, I make more money, I can make more videos, you get more videos. You see how this works? Like button, I appreciate it. Now Jonathan Huberdeau, the reason why I'm going to start with Huberdeau is because I've been saying this for at least the last 2 or 3 seasons, and I feel like he is the Florida Panthers' best player. Now I know some of you might go, Barkov. Barkov is probably our most well-rounded player, but in terms of a guy that can turn it on, take over a game or a few games, and carry the team on his back, for me that's Huberdeau, not Barkov. Now, Huberdeau, if you've watched my videos over the last, well, since forever, the one thing I have complained about with him is the inconsistency and his tendency to disappear for stretches. So that is pretty much the only thing that I think he can improve upon. Now last year, 20 goals, 41 assists in 55 games. He didn't play the last game. However, I'm going to bring your attention now to 2 statistics. Now the graphic I have up here now is from April 1st to April 15th. Huberdeau had 3 assists. Okay? Then what happens? Sam Bennett happens. And from Sam Bennett's first game of April 17th, for the rest of the games, Huberdeau had 6 goals in 11 games. So basically a third or so of those 20 goals came in the last 11 games after Bennett came on board. Says to me 2 things. Number one, you can look at his stats and you can see that, I mean, we all saw with our own eyes what is wrong with Huberdeau. He was not anywhere near close to what himself would be. You know what I mean? He was not himself. He was not agitated. He was not aggravated. He was not angry. He was not mad. He was not upset. He was depressed. And Huberdeau has that quality where he has to be irritated by something or excited by something, which is what Bennett did. He has to have that emotion behind him. And that, for me, is the thing that I think Huberdeau can improve upon him. And I get it, that for most of you you're going to say, but he's the guy that shows the most emotion on the team. Yes, when he shows emotion, he's far and away the most emotional guy on the team. However, the problem is in the inconsistency of which he shows that emotion. He goes through these periods, 4 or 5 games, sometimes a little bit longer, where he's just coasting around, not doing anything. And now, that had kind of tailed off a little bit, but then last year, obviously, the coasting monster reappeared there for quite some time, and then Bill Zito went and found him a real partner, which obviously got Huberdeau excited and animated, and we saw the results. So, if it's by default, if Bennett got him all excited and allowed him to score 6 goals in 11 games, with a bunch of assists as well, then by default that means he was obviously, I don't want to say he wasn't emotionally invested before Bennett came, but he was not playing up to his standards. And for Huberdeau to play up to his standards, he needs to be emotionally motivated. That's the kind of player he is. We've seen it. You've seen him on the bench when we've lost with his head in his hands and he can't believe this is another year going to go by and we can't get past the first round. So I'm not criticizing him for those down times. What I'm saying is for him to become what I feel I have predicted in either Huberdeau or Bennett is going to have 100 points this year. Could be both of them. But one of them is going to get 100 points. For him to do that, he has to find that magic spot where he can be up for most games. Nobody's going to be up for 82 games. Give me 70. Give me 70 games where you were jacked up and you were ready to go and you are the Jonathan Huberdeau that we know and love and you're emotional and you're getting irritated, you're getting agitated, and you're getting in the middle of things. Give me 70 games of that. Nobody's up all 82. All right? Give me 70 games of that, and then we hit the playoffs running. So that's why obviously it was so ridiculously important to get Bennett locked up long term, which, you know, there wasn't really much of a question that we were going to do that. But the difference between Huberdeau without Bennett and with him at the end of the last season was not, to say it was not like the same player is an understatement. It was so palpable. You could see the disappointment coming off of him before Bennett arrived. And as soon as Bennett got here, and in fact, in the 2 games, that was the one thing I noticed in the 2 games that after we traded for Bennett, but before Bennett was on the ice, Huberdeau had a couple of assists. Now, he had no points in like 5, 6 straight games previous to that. We traded for Bennett. Okay, the light came back on a little bit. He had a couple of assists, 1 assist in each game. When Bennett got here, boom, goals, 6 in 11 games. You guys can do the math on what kind of pace that is. So, for Jonathan Huberdeau, have to stay emotional. You have to stay emotionally invested completely. You can't have these huge peaks and these valleys, right? Find that 3/4 of a ground, you know what I mean? Find that area where you're not too high, not too low, and you can stay at that level. And then every once in a while, you're going to get all jacked up for a game, or you're going to have a game where you're not completely yourself. But we cannot have 5 and 6 and 7 game periods where you're just coasting around. That has to completely be done, completely stop. And you know, let's be honest, playing for a contract at that point too, right? Okay, you're playing for a contract that you will sign probably when you were 30 or just about to turn 30. So get busy. Get busy making the Panthers be sure that they want you at 36, 37, maybe even 38 years old. All right? You've done a good job so far. We've seen what you can do. Now do it for a whole season, playoffs, and you know, don't let anybody tell you that Barkov is the main guy. You're the main guy, Jonathan. That's just the way it is. Everybody knows it. Everybody sees it. And that's all I have to say about that. All right. So, as you can tell, for any of you who are new viewers, I'm not a big stats guy. I'm very basic on the stats. I'm not going to be going into analytics and everything like that. I use what everybody used to use to watch hockey before stats and everything came around, which is my eyes. That's what I use. I see the graphs and I see, you know, analytics has their place, but not with my old stubborn ass. Just never going to happen. So, Huberdeau, if you find yourself low, if you find yourself in one of those valleys where you're not really that emotional, somewhere around game 3, game 4, where you're not really playing all that well, just watch the recap. I'll probably be bitching and complaining about you. That'll probably get you fired up, and we'll be good to go again. All right? All right. Appreciate it. Like, share, subscribe. I'll be back tomorrow with another one. You know, maybe Barkov, maybe Bennett. I'm not doing Bobrovsky. Okay, I'm not doing Bobrovsky. I've said enough. We all know there's nothing left that can be said about Sergei Bobrovsky. So I'm not. Don't even wait for that video.